that's also what we're trying to do over here by bringing you on the show. So let's get into it. You talked about Damien Harris. We're going to fire up a couple of those tweets here. One of them, you put 48.9% of Ramondre Stevenson's carries last season came in games where Damien Harris was sidelined with an injury. If you factor in week 17, where Harris was limited with a hamstring injury and only played 22% of the team's snaps, Stevenson's numbers jumped to 63.2%. That 63.2% of his usage in 41.7% of his games. That's what we're working with there. That's still, to you, says that that's still Harris's backfield right there. Factoring out those 5 games where Harris was injured and the 5 games where Stevenson was injured/scratched, that leaves us with 7 games where both backs were fully healthy. And you broke this down here. Stevenson had 49 carries, 262 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Harris had 109 carries, 442 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So I just want to give you a chance to kind of back up what you're saying here and some of the other stuff, because I haven't seen a lot of Damien Harris love out there on Twitter right now. So
right. And like we talked about, spreading myself thin, I just came out with a video yesterday morning that you can find in the Football Guys YouTube channel, which is a 6-minute video of me talking about Damien Harris. But I feel like we have just overcorrected. And I get it. You know, you want to swing for upside when you're drafting running backs. And Damien Harris, he doesn't catch passes. Last year, he had an insane touchdown rate that is probably going to regress. Bill Belichick has this ridiculous history of just toying with us when it comes to running backs, but I don't think that it's that convoluted of a situation right now. I mean, we have seen now for this is for 2 straight years where it has been Damien Harris's backfield, and I was tweeting this out in summer of 2020 as well, that when you look at the overall numbers for Sony Michel and Damien Harris, it looked like it was a really confusing backfield. But when you look at the games where they were both fully healthy, which was a very small sample size, Damien Harris was very clearly the lead back. And we saw that last year as well. So when you look at Ramondre Stevenson's total numbers, you see 133 carries. You look at Damien Harris and he was at 204, 205, I believe. And it looks like, wow, this is probably, 60-40 split. But when you break it down and look at the games that they played where they were both healthy, this was very clearly Damien Harris's backfield. And I just think that we have overcorrected as a collective when he is getting drafted behind Cordero Patterson and Miles Sanders and some of these other guys. I took it a step further, and I looked over the last 5 years at running backs that have seen a minimum 200 carries and less than 25 targets, which is about what most people are projecting for Damien Harris. 18 players have hit that, and 16 of those 18 finished as a top 30 running back. Right now, Damien Harris is getting drafted as RB29, so we are drafting him at his absolute floor. If you think he's going to see 200 touches, he's going to be a top 30 running back. If you think he's going to see the goal line work that he saw last year, which was double-digit carries inside the 5-yard line, second most behind only Jonathan Taylor, he's going to see 12 or 15 touchdowns again. So there are reasons to be concerned, but I think that we have just vastly overcorrected. He should be getting drafted around the RB20 range, not the RB30 range.
And that's like exactly what you want to do, right? When it's like, go after these backfields that have, like most people don't want to touch them, or they're like, I don't want to deal with that mess because it looks from the outside in like a train wreck. But really, like you said, you dig in there, there's a lot of gems that you can uncover. And that's with a lot of teams. That's not just with New England.
I write down
Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
I write down in my little fantasy football diary at the end of every season some takeaways that I picked up. And I think 4 years ago, one note that I included in there was, if you're drafting a head of a committee, try to avoid one of those guys in like rounds 2 or 3, because if it's a real committee and there's some real competition behind them, that to me was too expensive of a price to go after a lead guy who's in a real committee. But if you can get a lead guy in a committee down there in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as it goes down, like that's a great gamble to pick up on. And that's where I see Damien Harris. Yes, there's going to be a lot of running backs. Yes, he's not going to be in all the time when you want him to be there, but he is going to be that lead dog. He is going to get you a lot of points, and he's probably going to be more reliable than you might be giving him credit for right now when you boil it all the way down.
He feels like one of those guys, like as you avoid the dead zone and you smash wide receiver, then you scoop back up on a Damien Harris. You get a guy like that who can like really solidify your RB2 position. Yeah. And I think that's a really good